Hey guys, so for our house project, you've created your design, your sketch design. You've come up with your five features that you might want to put into your house, whether that's a color or a specific texture, or maybe something that you're going to sculpt and add to your house. And now we need to come up with our paper form. So right here I have an example of a house, and this one is more of a boxy house. But I do like to show this as an example because a lot of times people think of the normal house with like the triangle top and it goes straight down. But that's not the only type of house there is that's out there. And so I do like to show some different examples. Make sure you look up different examples of houses because not all of them look the same. But here I have an example with a slanted roof right here. So this side is shorter than this side when I created it. And then some type of like little house box that's on top, and I'm not sure how that would fit on, or maybe it's like an addition to the side of the house, you know, like a room that's coming off the side of the house. But that's what's fun about creating it out of paper first, is that you can play around with it. Every year I have students who make 3 or 4 different types of paper houses, and then they really pick the one they're like, I want to make this one out of clay. So I like to show this little example because it's a little bit different than what students often think of as their first idea. But I also want to show the typical house that a lot of students make, which is that normal peaked tip in the middle, the triangle on top of a square type of house. And so here I have an example of 3 of my different slabs, and I need to create my 4th piece. But first I want to talk about this triangle angle, this triangle at the top. In order to create this, you need to fold your paper in half and cut to the middle crease. And that's how you're going to get the point right in the middle. Otherwise, you'll create a piece and maybe one angle is going to be out here and one's going to be up here, and it won't actually look flush. And so again, you just fold it in half and you cut from the side of your rectangle up to that point right there. So to demonstrate that happening, I would take my piece of paper, and I need 2 of these, so I went ahead and just folded my paper so that I have 2 pieces. I'm going to go ahead and cut that because most houses have a front and a back, and that's why you need 2 of them. Then I'm going to take this paper and I'm going to do exactly what I just demonstrated with this smaller piece. I'm going to fold it in half. Then from that fold, gonna just make sure it looks good. Okay, so I folded it. I'm going to create my angle here now, and all I need to do is get my scissors. I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna cut right into the point, and then when I open it up, I have my house with a perfect point in the middle, and I also have my front and my back already made for me. Then I need to create my sides. Your sides need to be the same height as the side of your house. If you create a side that's up here or down low, then it's not going to match with your house. So for example, I have this little one that I've already made. I already have one of my sides cut out, and I'm going to show you a bad example. So if this was my piece, I'm going to use my ruler to make sure that I'm making all of my lines straight before I cut them. Alright, so in theory that looks great. I have straight lines, I'm using the corner of my paper, so I'm not wasting paper from the middle. I start in the corner, I already have a right angle made for me, so I already know that it's perfect on at least one side. Then I'm going to go in and cut that line. And put it on my side of my house. And what you're quickly going to notice is it is too tall. It's hanging over the edge right there. It's about ½ an inch too tall. And so I need to cut that down. So what I'll do is I'll take this, I'll set it down, and I'm going to take the actual measurement of the side of my house, and I'm going to create a line right there so that it matches my house. Now granted, I've already made one, so I can just trace that one. But in order to get that initial measurement, you have to use the side of your house to get the measurement. So then I'm going to cut that edge off. And now I can tape that to the side of my house. When you are taping, it's so important that you just use a little teeny tiny piece of tape. You do not want to tape the entire side, because eventually we're going to cut these all apart, or you're going to rip the tape, and you're going to lay them down on your clay slab and actually cut them out. So here's an example. These are pieces that have already been cut out of clay, but notice I laid this down on my clay to cut it out exactly to this size. So it's important that you don't over tape it, because then you could rip your paper and then you won't be able to lay it down on your clay slab to cut it out tomorrow or whenever you finish your paper. So here I have my paper form. Notice that I just have a very tiny piece of tape just right in the middle. It's clear, so it's kind of hard to see right now, but you can use masking tape as well. But it's just a little piece. And then I need to come up with my roof. Now roofs, they can be kind of tricky because you already have your form and it's up in space, right? It's up here, and you need to kind of create a piece that's hanging. It is extremely important, just like you noticed on this one, that your roof is overhanging your piece. So notice there's a little bit of an overhang. So in reality, like in architecture, the reason that your roof overhangs a house a little bit is so that when water runs off, it runs off the house and not onto your house. A lot of times houses have a gutter system or some type of system to catch that water and get it away from the house. And so here we want to make sure we do the same thing. We want our roofs to be larger than that exact shape right there. So when I'm going in to create my roof, I'm going to, and I tend to just sort of wing this. I like to kind of like set it right up here, measure it right from the tip, and kind of get a line, and then measure from this side, and I want a little bit of an overhang, and then I'm going to use my ruler to make those lines. I just marked it, and once I have one side of my roof that fits, all I have to do is trace that and make a second copy. So here I have my roof. Gonna go ahead and cut it. Then I want to make sure that it fits, that it's overhanging on all sides. So yes, it is. It's overhanging down here, as well as it's overhanging on each of the sides right here. And that's what you want a roof to do. Now I don't need it to overhang this much. I could cut it down a little bit if I wanted to, or I can leave it as is. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to trace this and cut a second piece. And then I can go and set my roof right here, and all I need to do is just one little piece of tape right in the center up there. So now I'm going to take my roof, I'm going to tape it together. I just need a teeny tiny piece of tape right in the center of those two pieces. So I'm actually going to set it down, if you can see, let's see right here. I'm just going to set them down right next to each other and put a little piece of tape. So that's what it looks like. And then that's going to be able to sit right there on my house. And I need to tape my other side. So again, I'm just going to get teeny tiny pieces. Look how teeny tiny those pieces are. Just going to set them right on the edge of my house. And I'm going to tape them to the side. Oops. Okay, so I have my house, and I have my roof, and I now have my three-dimensional house that I am ready to make out of clay tomorrow, or if it's the weekend, on Monday. And then again, when you come in and you roll your slabs, you will set those papers down on top of your clay, and you will cut them out of clay. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. Remember, just use a little teeny tiny bit of tape. Make sure that your sides match, that your sides are even, and that whatever you create out of paper is also what you sketched. It's really important that your sketch matches your paper version, which will then match your clay version. And that step-by-step process is really helping to filter out any mistakes or filter out anything that maybe you decide you don't like or you want to add. And that's what I love about playing, is like maybe I make this one and I make this form, and I get to play around with what's working or what's not. Or maybe I'm like, oh, I like this. I wish this was coming out of my house that looks like this. And I can kind of start to put pieces together and puzzle it all together to be exactly what I want, and how it fits to my life and my meaning of home. So again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask, and I hope this was helpful. All right, good luck.